He has awakened. Finally, I thought I would die again waiting for him to rise. Perhaps you will still die. Never forget, I watch you thieves, you killers all three of you. Have a care how you speak to me, you deranged wreck. He was fortunate to reach here with all those traps you scattered throughout the plains. I swear, if I could have crossed the years to put you out of your misery, I would. The two of you, be silent. Let's make sure he's all right and save the arguments for later. Who are you all? By the hells, he's lost his memories. Damnation, he's useless to us now. Calm yourself, he's only disoriented, as were we all. Give him a moment to get his bearings. You're all thieves, worrying my body, and you will give it back. I am at the limits of my patience with you howling. Be silent. This arguing anvil avails us nothing. Give him space. Leave him be. Time is no longer in our favor. I will not stand here and squander another moment while our adversary is no doubt hunting for us. We waited long enough for him to awaken. I will speak to him now. The man before you resembles you, but he carries himself more like a forest than a man. His eyes are watching you carefully, and as you study him, you feel him studying you. So it has come to this. Who are you? I will not surrender my name to you or any man. The man's voice is rough like yours, and it rings strangely in your ears. As for who I am, you should be asking yourself that. You are one of my incarnations. You made it here, with my clues to guide you. We are separate incarnations? How is that possible? The incarnation is silent for a moment, then his expression changes to contempt. If there's anything I have hated about you, it is your countless questions, your desperate fumbling for meaning and answers. The man's voice is like a hatchet, and anger flickers across his features. The time for questions is past. Now you will listen to me. I was the first to breach this fortress, and whatever it is that awaits us here was somehow able to defeat me. I will not be best a second time here. You sound as if you intend to fight whatever it is that lurks here. The man gives you a strange look, then studies you. Of course, that's the only reason we're speaking now. I'll need you to be the shell, but your mind must be my mind. Do you understand me? You mean you intend to possess me?
Updated my journal.
Yes. He glances around at the spiked walls, then turns back to face you. We cannot leave this place in pieces. Only one may leave. How are we to become one? You must surrender your will to me, your knowledge and skills. Whatever little you've managed to accumulate in your life, you may prove useful. He sizes you up again. It ultimately will be but a fraction of my power, but it will have its uses. If you're one of my incarnations, then I have questions for you. I will indulge you, but only for a while longer. You're the one who served Dakan, and the one who led Dinara to her death. The man's eyes narrow. What of it? All of it was done with a purpose. You gave Dakan the unbroken circle of Zermathan. Why? The unbroken circle. That collection of lies? Yes, it was a week's work to forge such a thing. It was necessary to make it so we would cease doubting himself. You made it? But you told him, perhaps they carry some truth. I know not. I know that they were tedious writings, but the words were enough to give him faith. Why? Your ignorance astounds me. The man looks incredulous. Can it be that you do not know what he carries in his hand? That blade he carries is shaped by his thoughts. Such a tool, when used properly, could slay the multiverse itself. The man looks lost in thought, then his face sneers in disgust. Though obviously the Gith became separated when we arrived in this fortress, and I was unable to make use of his blade. The man frowns. Unfortunate. You're the one who led Dinara to her death. What was the purpose of saving Dakan at Shraluktor? Why did Dinara have to die? Her? That girl had little sense of the plains in her, and that was what I needed for her. You see, the dustmen have it right sometimes. When you feel too much passion, you cling too tightly to life to let it go. And neither did she, as I hoped she would. That woman, that ghost? The hunched man's eyes well up in fury, and spittle flies from his mouth. She tormented me for years, pursuing me, hating me, and you were the one that killed her? The incarnation barely even glances at the Howling One and merely sneers. You, blaming me for anything is laughable. He turns back to you. It wasn't out of malice, though she did become tiresome. It's just that when I arrived in the fortress, I didn't intend to stay. I wanted to get in, sacrifice her, then get out. The third incarnation speaks softly, but he sounds pained. Why did you do such a terrible thing? I needed someone to be my eyes here on the negative material plane, to serve as a scout and try to find out who my killer was. Only the dead can survive here for long. So Dinara had to be sacrificed so that she could become something other than what she was. A tricky business, but it worked. She helped you, didn't she? Yes, she did. Perhaps it was the right thing to do. Of course it was the right thing to do. I planned for it decades down to the smallest details. His eyes take on a faraway stare. Even so, it was a close thing. Tell me about Zachariah. The archer? Well, all of a sudden Zachariah could see things with his eyes that I couldn't, and he could hit them with his arrows too. So, while I was walking into this fortress blind in some ways, I didn't know what my killer was, so I needed someone who could see things I couldn't in case the enemy was beyond my visual range. Zachariah ended up dying too fast, though he wasn't any use in the end. Are you the one who taught Ignis the art? Ignis? The man stares at you and frowns. Is that a name? Who in the hell is you talking about? You built that tomb beneath Sigil, didn't you? The one with the traps? I'd almost forgotten. Yes, that was a waste, that was. The incarnation seems irritated. Obviously that didn't work. And it cost a lot of blood and coin, too. Worthless, the second incarnation breaks into uneven laughter, but it's more gleeful than mad. It was easy to breach the child's trap. I found it and changed it. To make it harder. Changed the writings. The first incarnation frowns at the second. He looks like he's barely restraining himself from attacking the other. Yet another thing you will answer for. He turns his back to you. Though I suppose it doesn't matter. It was shortly after the failure of the tomb trap that I decided to carry the battle to our killer rather than wait for him to show any longer. Were you the one who pried Mort off the Pillar of Skulls? Is Mort still alive? The incarnation stares for a moment in disbelief, then he starts laughing. Ha ha! That piking skull couldn't be trusted farther than I could throw him, claiming he had information when he didn't. Then I had to go through the torment of prying him off the Pillar of Skulls. Then he frayed ignorance once he was off of it. The incarnation scoffs. I humored him, since he told me everything I needed for him. Ignorance? Oh, yes. Once a liar, always a liar. It takes a stronger mind than a skull's to give me a laugh, though. What was his game? What more did he have to lie about? He smirks. It's of no matter. Let the skull have his secrets. They are worthless to us. Who are these others? Other incarnations, reflections of ourselves. I will have them merge with me after I deal with you. He glances at the hunched incarnation who was howling when he first arrived. Or kill them if they refuse. It is no matter. They are not necessary. I will indulge you, but only for a while longer. Were you the one who asked Farad to get the bronze sphere from the catacombs? Farad? The incarnation thinks for a moment. Oh yes, the trash king with all the tough bloods that thought I was easy prey. He smiles slightly, as if recalling a pleasant memory. After only a little bloodletting, I struck a bargain with him. He would see to it that if his men found me, they would take me safely to the mortuary, and of course, I needed the eyes and hands of his men to scour the catacombs beneath the sigil for me. What for? A sphere. Made of bronze. Ugly, feels like an egg to the touch, and it smells of rotten custard, right? Yes, I told Farad it was the only thing that would save his miserable life. What a sniveling little dodger he was. The incarnation smiles at you. You see, the old bastard was destined to end up in the Pillar of Skulls when he died, and he was desperately trying to weasel out of it. So I told him that there was an item beneath the sigil that would save him from his fate, if he could only find it. But it wouldn't save him, it was just something you wanted him to find? Of course, it was useless to him. One cannot dodge fate so easily. He looks irritated. However, nothing motivates a man faster than telling him what he seeks will save his soul from eternal damnation. I intend to take it from him after he found it. It's just that searching for myself would have taken too long. He smiles again. And why should I do it when I could have someone else hunt for me? Actually, he ended up tricking me into finding it for him. Why was it so important? Important? Do you not know? The incarnation becomes silent for a moment. Do you have it with you? Yes, I do. I brought it with me. You have it? The incarnation eyes flare. Then your life had some use after all. You watch his eyes flicker as if thinking, calculating. When we merge, I will see about finding a means to unlock it. Perhaps all is not lost. What is the sphere? Why is it important? It's a dead sensory stone. Do you know what it contains? He smiles eagerly. It holds the last experiences of the first of us, when we were one man, and not a string of incarnations. His voice drops. If there is some way of unlocking it, I will be able to see inside his mind, and see why all this happened? Yes. The incarnation's face has become somber. It is the answer I've always sought. Why this happened. Why we became immortal. He studies you. When we merge, I will see about finding a means to unlock it. Perhaps all is not lost. The third incarnation erupts. Perhaps there are no answers in such a thing. Perhaps there never was. I don't deal in the realms of perhaps and maybe. The first incarnation sneers. I seek answers. It is what has allowed us to get this far. He looks at the third incarnation with contempt. If we had let life in your hands, we wouldn't have been even a fraction of the truth that we now possess. And in the truth lies power. He turns to you. You will realize that when we merge. How do I escape this place? You must surrender your will to me, your knowledge and skills. Do you still intend to fight whatever it is that lurks here? Yes. We cannot leave this place in pieces. Only one may leave. I intend to merge with you. So be it then. His eyes become gray like mist, and he gives a slight smile, as if in anticipation. We shall see what your mind has in store. You lock gazes with him. His eyes are like stones, and they start to drag you down. Lock gazes with him. Try and force him to merge with you. You feel your mind beginning to peel apart as you lock gazes with him, and you know that his will is stronger than yours. If you persist, he will absorb you, and you will be no more. Tear away from his gaze and attack him.
I feel stronger. Don't let it end like this. Updated my journal. I feel stronger.
The man before you resembles you, but his back is hunched, as if he is perpetually afraid of being struck. He is watching you warily, and he hisses as you approach, his hands clenching as if wanting to strangle you. His arms are horribly gnarled and scarred, as if they had been dunked into a stream of acid, and his left arm looks like it is holding on by a thread, literally. Who are you? Know that you will not last long in this place. Thief. Spittle flies from the man's mouth, and his face twists in a mandling grin. Mazes and regrets and death are all that are here. You're wasting your time speaking to that one. His thoughts are all angles and spite and nothing more. Stop wasting time. There is much the two of us must speak of. Thief! The incarnation hands twist as if strangling the other. I will feel the bones of your neck snap beneath my fingers. Take my body back, he turns to you. Thief. You wear my body like a cloak, and you shame me. I'm no thief. I stole nothing from you. You stole everything. I awoke on the streets of the ringed city, and all who saw me knew me. He takes a rasping breath. All that you had done, all that you had harmed, they were waiting for me, blaming me, hurting me, until I couldn't take the voices anymore. His fingers grasped at the air, and had to make them silent. You were the one who left the trap in the sensory stone for me, weren't you? In the dodecahedron journal with the traps? He fixes you with a wary eye. It seems just looking at you is making him uncomfortable. In order for me to leave this place, you must again become part of me. Hold on. You're the one who set fire to the Anais legacies, weren't you, trying to destroy my legacy? I burned the false papers. Yes, more lies. Lies about my false lives. The sensory stone trap. You're the one who left it for me, weren't you? Yes, he smiles. Yes, he smiles low and evil. Simple trap. Trap for someone who can't die. Mind trap. It was simple to escape, actually. The smile freezes on the incarnation's face. You lie. Were you the one who strangled all those people in Sigil? His eyes flicker to the black stones, as if remembering something unpleasant. He begins to shake slightly. They claimed they knew me, had to silence them, stop their voices, accusing, always accusing. I see. What happened to your arm? He glances down at the arm for a moment and looks up and smiles. Kept coming off, so I had to stitch it up again. In order for me to leave this place, you must again become part of me. Will you do so? I would rather die. Death will also serve, but I will give you a chance. Never, he spits the last word. Thief. Let us speak in private, just the two of us. As you speak the language, the incarnation's eyes widen and he stares at you. After a moment of silence, he replies in the same language. Only I know the language. How do you know it? You're correct. You're the only one who knows the language of the Uo. So if I know the language of the Uo, I must be you. He is silent, staring at you. It is these others who are not, for they do not know the language of the Uo. He nods slowly. I hear you. This place confuses one's perceptions. We are both you, and now we must become as one. He looks frightened. To your surprise, he reverts to normal speech, and all the inflections of his voice are gone. It is calm, level, and much like your own. I no longer wish to live like this. You have suffered much. You were born into a world where nothing made sense, where strangers claimed they knew you. They blamed you for things you knew nothing of, and they tried to hurt you. He looks at you, and you watch as the incarnation loses its mad gleam and his eyes become more like your own. Yes. I will protect you now. You will know peace, for that is all you ever wanted, isn't it? The incarnation relaxes at your words, his eyes dimming as he locks gazes with you. There is the faintest of whispers, and he falls to the black stones. With his collapse, you feel a crawling sensation in the back of your skull. And there's a flood of memories and strength and emotions, and you steady yourself, dizzy for a moment. Then your vision clears, and you are yourself once more. The man before you resembles you somehow, but his face seems calmer somehow. He gives a slight smile as you approach, and he nods as if in approval. Are you alright? Who are you? Have we ever had a name, or was it just the first of us? The man chuckles softly. Know that I am your ally in this. I, like these others, have died many a death in your mind, and this figment is all that remains. But who are you? Ah, his smile fades, and he looks at you with concern. This must be disorientating you. Let me try and explain. I am one of your incarnations. I was once lost, now I am here again. How is that possible? I do not know. Whatever you touch within the fortress has brought pieces of yourself to the surface. He pauses for a moment, thinking. One of the others may know the means of how this came to be, but it's beyond me. If you are part of me, there are things I must know. I've had countless lives. Why are there only 3 incarnations here? I do not know. Perhaps we were the 3 pieces that were somehow still present in your mind. Present how? I don't know for sure, but I would guess that when we die, traces of the former personality may remain in your mind, and I know that sometimes we may make ourselves felt. How? When you are about to place yourself in danger, or were close to a realization, for example, I found that I could stir, help prod you in the right direction. So you were that crawling sensation I kept feeling in the back of my skull. I would be at a loss to describe how it felt to you, but it is possible, yes. There's something else I would know. Before you said that when we die, traces are left in the mind. That's what caused you all to emerge, right? My understanding may not be complete, but yes, that seems to be the case, and we may make ourselves felt in small ways. Do you know why I wanted to become immortal? No, I do not. I think it was done out of fear. Perhaps one of the others knows, but not I. What makes you think it was done out of fear? The man smiles slightly, but there's no humor in it. If anything, it is a sad smile. What man wishes to die? He shakes his head slowly, but only the first of us will ever truly know the reason that brought us to this state. What was your life like? It was quiet and long, and was filled with much of the pain and the joys that one would expect in life. I served as a choreographer for a time, and I walked the plains for several years. How did you die? In the end, I traveled upon the fields of Bitopia. Terrible shadows took on life as I lay sleeping. I died as if I felt their claws upon me. They are the shades of all those that died in our place. The man looks pained. Yes, I know. I know that now. One cannot be in this place of regrets and not feel their agony. I came to this fortress with allies, but they have been separated from me. Then I fear your friends are already dead. The man looks pained. This place bears hatred for the living. In order to leave, you must again become part of me. Will you do so? I had suspicion we were not meant to exist at this, And as unnatural as our mortality is, the situation compounds it. He nods. Yes, I will merge with you again. You know you will cease to exist? Yes, I know. Very well. One last thing, just this. The incarnation pauses for a moment, searching your features. Before I return to oblivion, there is something I would know. I can spare a little time for this. What do you wish to know? He studies your eyes, his expression somber. Did you live your life, the brief life you had? In the end, was it worth it? I've been traveling too much to really appreciate it. Perhaps we shall see after this matter has come to a close. He nods, and for a moment you think he's going to say something, but then he collapses, the life running out of him and into yours. As he falls to the black stones, you feel a crawling sensation in the back of your skull, making you shiver, and you know the incarnation is no more.